Across the Punch-Out series, we've seen characters from all around the globe step into the ring, representing a broad range of cultures and backgrounds. These characters lean heavily into stereotypes from their countries of origin. You've got Spanish bullfighter and romantic Don Flamenco, a militaristic, shouty German man Von Kaiser, and the legendary Irish madman known as Aaron Ryan, just to name a few. Many of these fighters were refined over time and injected with new character traits and personalities, but the original Punch-Out arcade game was home to a certain man who never returned after his debut. Hailing from Napoli in Italy, this guy's ranked at number 2 in the world, second to only Mr. Sandman, so he's no joke. Who is this mystery fighter, I hear you ask? Well...
Pizza pasta! Fight!
Okay, so let me get this straight. They named the Italian guy Pizza Pasta? How did they get away with that? That's like naming a French guy Baguette Croissant or an English guy Fish and Chips. Couldn't they have thought of, I don't know, literally anything else to call him? They just took 2 Italian dishes, slapped them together and called it a day, and neither of them are names. Like, come on, there are so many cool Italian names out there. They could have named him Damiano Mason or something. Shout out my goat. Sure, it could be a stage name or something, like I'm assuming is also the case for, say, Great Tiger or Bear Hugger, but if it is, Pizza Pasta may well be a contender for the worst stage name I have ever heard in my life. It's just so stupid that it kinda loops back around to being incredible. Besides his name, the fact that he's from Italy and weighs in at 235 pounds, we know precisely nothing about this guy. Just who is Pizza Pasta? What made him decide to become a boxer? What's life for him like outside the ring? There's no lore here, no intro sequence, no extra information from any kind of instruction manual. Pizza Pasta is a complete enigma, and that's what makes him so ridiculous. The only way that you'd be able to tell that he's Italian is from his stupid name. I like to imagine that he ran a restaurant or a pizzeria and fancied a slice of the boxing action to help drum up some more customers. Maybe his restaurant was failing and he needed some more dough. Okay, I'll stop. I can only make so many Italian puns after all. So, how does Pizza Pasta fight? Well, the most hilarious part is that despite him having the audacity to be named Pizza Pasta, he's actually just a completely normal boxer. No gimmicks, no cheats, no eating pizza or pasta in the middle of the fight. Nope. Just an orthodox, clean boxer with precisely 0 rule infractions to his name. Isn't that incredible? Even the most meticulous characters like Piston Hondo get docked points for stuff like bringing food and manga into the ring, but as for Pizza Pasta, nothing. He's not just a fair fighter though, he's a strong one too, let me tell ya. The first few times I fought this guy, I got decimated in seconds. He uses a powerful range of jabs, hooks, body blows and uppercuts, which can mince through your health meter. His guard is super tight as well, which makes getting even one clean hit on him a real challenge. Then there's his signature move, his clinch. Here, Pizza Pasta will grab hold of you, leaving you helpless and completely unable to dodge, block or attack. There's no way around it. When he eventually does let go of you, he instantly throws out an uppercut before unleashing his deadly rush attack. This is kinda similar to Piston Hurricane's attack from earlier in the game. The difference here is that Piston Hurricane is pretty predictable and alternates between high and low punches, making it relatively easy to block him. With Pizza Pasta, however, you get no such luxury. The man is brutal. There's no set pattern to it. He just straight up attacks you where you're not guarding. If you guard high, he'll punch low. If you guard low, he'll punch high. Now that's just straight villain behavior. You can try and block it if you get the timing right, but it's hard to pull off, and if Pizza Pasta manages to pull out this move, you're more than likely gonna get knocked down by it. When you inevitably lose to this guy, you hear his one solitary voice line, laughing at you for daring to stand in his way. The guy is tough, and it's safe to say that he's earned a spot this high in the circuit. If you're lucky, you might be able to knock him down once or twice, but he'll have no trouble getting back up. As Punch-Out's creator, Genyo Takeda put it, much like the cheese on the pizza that he's named after, Pizza Pasta sticks around and is hard to beat down. That's the reasoning behind him being called that, by the way. Takeda, Iwata and Miyamoto even laughed about how stupid the name was in that interview. So that then begs the question, how do you actually beat Pizza Pasta? Well, the thing is, the original Punch-Out arcade game is weird. What I mean by that is that the gameplay is a lot less about learning when to dodge your opponent's attacks and countering them accordingly. Rather, it's more about finding a weakness and exploiting it as much as you can. And if a character has no perceptible weaknesses, you have to create one. Pizza Pasta is one of those cases. Ordinarily, the man is strong, slippery, and relatively hard to predict, so you need to make him predictable. The way you do this is by baiting him into making a move. You see, anytime that you throw out a left jab, Pizza Pasta will virtually always block you and instantly counterattack. If you're not prepared for the counter, this normally spells trouble, but if you simply keep using your left jab, you're always going to know when his counter is coming, and thus, you'll always know when to dodge. This gives you a nice big window to get some good hits in and charge up your KO meter. But that's not all. Remember his signature clinch? You can also exploit that too. It definitely seems like a formidable attack on the surface, and it certainly is if you allow yourself to get hit by the cheese string of attacks that follows it. But if you simply hold right on the joystick while you're being grabbed, as soon as you break out of Pizza Pasta's grasp, you'll successfully dodge his uppercut. And when you do this, well, let's just say you end up with a frozen pizza. The guy has no clue what just happened, so you're able to take advantage of this and absolutely wail in on him, getting hit after hit, juggling him with left and right jabs, fully charging your KO meter and sending him to the mat. Rinse and repeat this simple technique and you'll secure yourself an easy win. Now isn't that just ironic? The best way to beat Pizza Pasta is by, well, cheesing him. As it turns out, this match is not the last that we see of this guy. If you manage to beat this game, much like in Punch-Out Wii, you have to defend your title from all of your previous challenges, with the exception of Kid Quick, who just kinda dips for some reason. Here, Pizza Pasta dons some new blue gloves and essentially acts as a tougher, more erratic version of his original self, now being less vulnerable to the exploits that worked so well on him the first time around. Unfortunately, in a major skill issue on my part, I wasn't actually able to make it to this fight because I kept getting folded by Mr. Sandman before I had the chance. Listen, I managed to knock him down once, and that's good enough for me. Cut me some slack, guys. I barely even touched the game before getting the footage for this video. Weirdly enough though, after you beat him for the second time, Pizza Pasta just completely disappears. Glass Joe, Piston Hurricane, Bold Bull and Sandman remain, but our beloved Pizza Boy, nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Was the shame of losing twice enough to make him give up on the sport forever? Did he just really need to get back to running his pizzeria? The world may never know. And the thing is, Pizza Pasta not only vanishes from the arcade game at this point, he also vanishes from the series as a whole. There was some Italian representation in Super Punch-Out with Mad Clown, but for some reason, they never brought back the guy named Pizza Pasta. Gee, I wonder why. Pizza Pasta is a truly fascinating character, and one that lives on as a relic of the arcade days. It's likely that Nintendo has long since forgotten about him, or at the very least, are doing their best to, but despite that, Pizza Pasta lives on in the hearts of the fans. Would he work if he were to be brought back now? Probably not, at least not without a major overhaul. But that's kind of what makes his solitary appearance in the series so special. He may not have the depth or the personality of the later boxers like Von Kaiser or Aaron Ryan, but Pizza Pasta, mostly due to his name, has still had some kind of impact on the series. An impact that, in my opinion, clearly makes him the most important Italian character in Nintendo history. Glass Joe, a name that strikes fear into the hearts of precisely nobody. When you think about this guy, your mind most likely goes to his appearances in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the NES or Punch-Out Wii. But his WVBA debut predates these titles. RME Joe here actually originated in the Punch-Out arcade game. Here, he serves as the first opponent you face, and honestly, he can give you a hard time if you're unfamiliar with the controls or you come into the fight unprepared. His attacks will do a pretty big chunk of damage to you, and he'll actually recover some of his own health in the process. However, do not be deceived. As you'd expect from a man named Glass Joe, this dude is super weak. You can kind of just attack him relentlessly and he won't be able to do anything about it. You're basically bullying the poor guy. It's a ridiculously easy fight if you simply mash your attacks. Body blow when he leaves his gut exposed and hit him in the face when he leaves his jaw exposed. It's really as simple as that. But this is obviously not the last we see of Glass Joe. He once again returns as the first opponent in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and is the player's introduction to the minor circuit. And, well, yeah, no, he's even weaker in this game than he was in the last one. For the first section of the fight, my man just kinda stands there and doesn't do anything. This allows you to absolutely wail in on him and get a ton of damage in by, once again, attacking the unguarded areas. He'll block you if you punch where his arms already are, but that's not exactly an impressive feat. And when our boy Joe finally does move, he starts off with a taunt, which you can easily counter to instantly KO him and then move on to the next fight. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, that you're playing for the first time and you don't know about this trick. If this is the case, then be prepared, for Glass Joe will proceed to hit you with the slowest, most easily telegraphed attacks in the game. The best part is that he only has a grand total of 2 moves as well, both of which can be dodged or blocked in any direction. Truly a formidable offensive force. And even if he does manage to land a punch or two on you, the amount of damage he does is pitiful. Look at how little max health bar goes down here. Glass Joe's defense improves a little from this point on compared to before, which is not a high bar, but you can still pretty much just throw out punches against him and win. The guy is basically a living punching bag. This fight is not difficult. It's highly unlikely that you'll lose here, unless he happened to be one of the kids in that one React video, or Mike Tyson apparently?
I couldn't even be Glass
I can be Glass Joe.
In all seriousness, Glass Joe being an easy beat is a very intentional part of his design. He's there to be laughed at. He's there to be a joke. Heck, his name even sounds like his biggest weakness, his glass jaw. But this deliberate incompetence also allows him to equally serve as the player's introduction to Punch-Out, the player's guinea pig for testing out the controls. He's there to make the player feel powerful and confident and spur them on, inspiring them to continue playing the rest of the game and conquering whoever else dares to stand in their way. Now, before we talk about Glass Joe's next appearance, let's address the elephant in the room here. His record. 1-99. 1 win to 99 losses. That is a wild statistic. How is it possible that out of the 100 fights that he's taken part in, this man has lost 99? This man has had 1 victory in his entire career. However, that does beg one question. Who on earth was this solitary victory against? You might think of somebody like Von Kaiser, the second opponent in the game. He's pretty weak and well past his prime, so Glass Joe beating him doesn't seem infeasible. Could it potentially have been Gabby J? He's the first character you face in Super Punch-Out and is considerably older than Glass Joe with an identical record of 1 win to 99 losses. It sounds plausible, but is surprisingly not the case. Gabby J's only win was against Glass Joe when he attended the Glass Joe School of Boxing. Who let this man open a boxing school? So if it's not Von Kaiser, if it's not Gabby J, then who is it? Well, as it turns out, the one single person that Glass Joe beat is apparently Nick Bruiser? The special circuit champion and highest ranked fighter in Super Punch-Out? Surely that can't be right. Well, rumor has it that there was a Nintendo Power magazine which stated that this was indeed the case, and that Glass Joe managed to defeat Nick Bruiser in a complete freak accident. What accident could have happened for this to even be a remote possibility? I have no idea. But by some miracle, this man pulled off the impossible. I couldn't actually track down the original article that this theory supposedly originated from, so if anyone has any leads on this, it's definitely worth looking into. That aside, in Punch-Out Wii, Glass Joe makes his grand return, and here he plays a very similar role to that of his NES appearance. Once again, his main gimmick is that he is still incredibly weak. What I do love about this iteration of Glass Joe in particular though, is just how much personality they injected into him. This guy is full of character. For one, they decided to make him into the Frenchest man in existence. This intro is absolutely comical. We see him drinking tea, posing by the Eiffel Tower, and proudly holding a baguette in the air. Precisely nothing about this even remotely suggests that he is a boxer, and I love that. And then just look at the way this guy proudly struts into the ring and showboats to the crowd. He seems to have gained some confidence compared to the NES version, where he was almost ready to hang up his gloves and retire. The funniest part though is that there's actually a chance that he'll stumble in his intro. The guy can't even get that right. I also love the way he hypes himself up in between rounds, even though he probably knows that he's gonna get completely decimated. It's great. As far as the match itself goes, well, he begins by proceeding to do exactly the same thing he's been doing since 1990. That is to say, absolutely nothing. He once again just sits there for the first 30 seconds of the fight, and then there's his instant knockdown taunt, although this time with some added patriotism. His attacks are nothing too special either. He leaves himself wide open to being counter-attacked and telegraphs his punches from a mile off, so you can easily dodge them and get him into a stun. The best part is when you knock him out though. As he flies gracefully through the air in slow motion, he's surrounded by a whirlwind of croissants, accompanying him on his gradual descent to the floor. That is the most French thing of all time, and it is incredible. All in all, Glass Joe in contender mode is, once again, a joke. So much of a joke, in fact, that there is a challenge to let him win. Just let that one sink in for a second. Regardless, defeating Glass Joe here earns him his 100th loss, but is he gonna let that keep him down? Of course not. Somehow, some way, Glass Joe comes back swinging one more time for a shot at the title. He wants his sweet revenge on Little Mac. You see, due to all the injuries he sustained from being beaten over the head time and time again, Glass Joe decides to see a doctor. Said doctor, after seeing all of the head trauma that poor Joe has been going through, decides to intervene. How does he do that, you might ask? Well...
Viens te chercher!
You see that? Headgear. The very thing that Glass Joe needed to protect him from taking punches to his biggest weakness, that glass jaw. Funnily enough, a neat bit of trivia is that if you manage to stack up 100 losses in this game, you'll also be given the same treatment as Joe and will receive your very own headgear, which will reduce the damage that you take. That aside, you might think that this fight will be a piece of cake. I mean sure, he has some added protection now, but at the end of the day, he's still Glass Joe, right? Well, in actuality, things might not be as simple as they seem. You heard that right, folks. Glass Joe is actually a challenge. As you probably deduced, punching Glass Joe in the head now does no damage, meaning that you can only go for gut punches against him. It doesn't seem like that big a deal, but man do you miss out on some damage. But that's not the only thing that's changed about this fight. Surprisingly, GJ has a few new tricks up his lack of sleeves. I mean, for starters, he actually attacks you from the beginning of the fight now. Way to go, buddy. Not only that, but he's also a little quicker than he used to be. And you're not ready for this one. He even has more than 2 attacks this time. You see, Glass Joe has learned from his mistakes and is no longer as predictable as he once was. In this match, he mixes up his timing with some quicker attacks and some which he deliberately delays. Check out his uppercut, for instance. This is what he normally does, and this is the delayed version. It's a surprisingly tricky move and it's definitely caught me off guard a fair few times. He also still does the instant knockdown Vive la France taunt, but he actually has a new taunt which he throws into the mix as well. Liberté! Look at the footwork on display there. He even throws in an attack after doing it. Granted, you can still counter it with a well-timed punch, but it's still impressive nonetheless. Perhaps the flashiest technique comes in the form of this fancy new move where Joe weaves quickly from side to side before throwing out a quick jab to catch you off guard. And catch you off guard it may well do on your first time playing this fight. There's no denying it. Glass Joe has significantly improved here, and it's not solely because of his headgear. And if you're anything like me, you'll probably lose to this guy when you take him on for the first time, and let me tell you, losing to Glass Joe of all people after defeating Mr. Sandman is a truly humbling experience. To be honest, it kinda makes you feel proud of the guy. He's one of the few characters who you genuinely feel happy for when he wins, because you know this man has earned it. However, as is the case with many of your opponents in Punch-Out, there is a trick to this fight. Throughout the match, there are a number of opportunities to rack up stars against Joe, like when he's taunting or delaying a punch after stunning him. If you then use one of these star punches against him while he's stunned, it'll temporarily knock that headgear right off, allowing you to get some clean hits onto his oh so famous glass jaw. And eventually, once you see through all of his tricks, this fight becomes one that is very much beatable. When you take Glass Joe at face value, what you might see is a pathetic fighter who serves little purpose beyond simply being a punching bag for the player to completely destroy. But, you know what? If nothing else, I feel like you have to respect Glass Joe's sheer tenacity. Think about it. This guy has been getting bodied for his entire career, taking punch after punch, L after L. But despite all that, despite everything, not once did Glass Joe ever falter. Not once did Glass Joe shy away from a challenge. Not once did Glass Joe quit. 100 defeats later, and he's still standing. 100 defeats later, and he still has a smile on his face. Glass Joe gets knocked down, but he'll get up again. You're never gonna keep him down. That right there, that is impressive. That is dedication. So let's pour one out for this French warrior, the WVBA champion in our hearts, and a true unsung hero of gaming. Punch-Out is not a difficult game to begin with. Early on, fights feel more like warm-ups. Slow, telegraphed punches, low damage output, and plenty of room for error. You learn the ropes, build confidence, and maybe even start to get a little bit cocky. But then, the game shifts. All of a sudden, your opponents become quicker and stronger. You can no longer get away with button mashing and attacking without strategic intent. It's not about learning how to play anymore, it's about proving you can. That shift has a name. Piston Honda. In Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Piston Honda is the champion of the minor circuit. After you more than likely completely demolish Glassjoe and Von Kaiser, you definitely get the impression just by looking at this guy that he is your first truly competent opponent. I mean, just look at how he towers over Little Mac. Like, this dude is huge. His serious expression mirrors his tight fighting style as well, with a mix of quick jabs and strong uppercuts. This is really the point where the game starts to punish you for sloppiness as well. Unlike Glassjoe and Von Kaiser, Piston Honda won't let any old aimless punches slip through. This is a serious title bout against a serious contender. Of course he's gonna block your attacks if you spam them purposelessly. If you want to beat this guy, you have to match his level of patience and discipline, only punching when you're confident that you're gonna land the hit. Piston Honda's fight is where we're also first exposed to the concept of signature moves. Introducing the Honda Rush. Honda steps back, hops from side to side a few times, and then charges at you, unleashing a flurry of rapid jabs and ending off with an uppercut. If you're not prepared for this move, it can seriously catch you off guard and absolutely demolish your health bar. Try to dodge, and you won't be able to move quickly enough for the next jab. Try to counterattack when he's in the middle of his combo, and you're just asking for trouble. For an opponent this early in the game, it's a formidable attack, and one that can certainly give you a TKO from Tokyo. Luckily, this move is not without its countermeasures. You see, one of the key things that the fight against Piston Honda teaches you is the importance of blocking. While blocking attacks may reduce your stamina and you may lose a bit of health by doing it, it's a lot quicker than dodging and can thus be used to defend against multiple attacks in quick succession. Sound familiar? Apply this concept to the Honda Rush and suddenly it doesn't seem all too bad. You can get past it with relative ease. If you're feeling real brave however, you can try to land a counterattack right when he's approaching you, and if you do, that's an instant knockdown in the bag. Overall, he's a pretty neat opponent in Punch-Out and actually comes back stronger in the World Circuit. However, my favourite iteration of Piston Honda has to be his return in Punch-Out Wii. Oh, sorry, did I say Piston Honda? I meant Piston Hondo, my bad. Yeah, so Nintendo actually changed this guy's name, and while they haven't explicitly ever said why, we can assume it was because they were worried about getting into legal trouble with the Honda Motor Company. Funnily enough, some of Doc's lines still feel like they make reference to his old name though, talking about Hondo overheating and sending him to the scrapyard. Huh. Who knew Nintendo would be so cautious about copyright infringement, am I right guys? That aside, Piston Hondo is so much cooler in this game compared to how he was before. He has had a serious glow up here and is fleshed out with, well, an actual personality. This dude is just the epitome of awesome here. The shades of his meticulous attitude that we saw glimpses of on the NES truly come to fruition here when you see his intense training and remarkably composed, focused demeanor. This is something that we see not only in his intro, but throughout his fight. Besides his Hondo Rush, he has a very orthodox, no-frills style with quick yet traditional attacks and a fiercely confident yet undeniably respectful aura. He's so respectful in fact, that he even shows his humility by bowing to you in the middle of the fight. What a nice guy, oh. So it turns out that you can actually take advantage of this nice, friendly gesture and gain a star by punching Hondo while he's mid-bow. That feels kinda wrong, I can't lie. Complete lack of respect aside, another place that we see the extent of Piston Hondo's glow up is in his voice lines. These are so much more interesting here. Like in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, he just says some random Japanese words in the round intermissions, but now, thanks to the power of voice acting and the fact that almost every character in the game is voiced by a native speaker, Piston Hondo was really brought to life. He has this very eloquent way of speaking, typically opting to talk to you in the form of proverbs, sometimes even giving you advice. Honestly, he probably does a better job of coaching you than Doc does. Let them cut your flesh and you will break their bones goes insanely hard in my opinion. They even kind of preserve the vibe they had going on before when he shows you his lunch and starts talking through each item, naming all the foods. Even when you knock him down, instead of rubber duck spinning around his head, he has sushi instead. It's a much more seamless, humorous and tasteful way of incorporating these Japanese foods into his character. He also reads manga in between rounds, like, come on, that's fantastic. Not only is Piston Hondo incredibly cool from a character perspective, but mechanically he plays quite an important role in the game too. The way he fights is a flawless translation of how he used to on the NES. His quick jabs make a return, and they even have the same cue as they did back in the day. Right before throwing his punch, Piston Hondo has a telltale raise of the eyebrows to let you know just in time what he's about to do. Granted, it is a very fast attack, so your reaction times still have to be on point. There's also his hooks and uppercuts, and of course his signature Hondo Rush, just as lethal as it used to be, and the perfect representation of this guy's speed. It's also now accompanied by a neat sound cue as he does his little hops, which helps to make this move even more memorable. Like before, this attack serves as a way of drilling into the player how useful blocking is, which I often forget is an option in this game, and still has the ability to be countered for those bold enough to try it. From this, we can see that Piston Hondo's purpose is to get the player up to speed in every sense of the phrase. What I mean by that is that he's not only quick, but also acts as a skill check boss, a way of testing the player's ability and ensuring that they understand the fundamentals. If you can beat Piston Hondo, you know how to play the game. If not, then you're not ready for what's ahead. This was something that was already the case in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, with him cracking down on randomly thrown out punches, but it's only made more apparent here. His position as the first major circuit contender reflects this in a way, with him representing a new phase of the game where the training wheels are officially off and your hand is no longer held. Forget gimmicks, forget tricks. To beat Piston Hondo, you just need to be good. One very interesting thing about Piston Hondo is his record. We can see that he has 26 wins and only one loss, which we later find out was to Mr. Sandman. That's really good, so he's clearly got the skills. This makes his position as the lowest ranked opponent in the major circuit rather peculiar and opens up some questions as to why he is where he is, as there are many characters ranked above him who have significantly worse records. Perhaps it's because he's strong, but in a similar position to Little Mac, a fresh, up-and-coming boxer who's still working his way up through the ranks. Maybe he's just been schooling rookies for his whole career and avoids fighting stronger opponents. He might have just taken a break from the sport after an impressive career and returned at a lower rank after new contenders emerged. This theory does actually line up with the Punch-Out Wii live-action commercial, where we see that he's retired from boxing to open up a steakhouse in between games. Definitely canon, by the way.
So come on down to Piston Honda Steakhouse. It'll be Steak Neptune.
Then there's his title defense incarnation. The contrast between Piston Hondo and the other characters is actually very fascinating to see. A lot of these guys are sore losers and take their losses against Little Mac hard. But what does Piston Hondo do? He simply trains. He knows that he lost to Little Mac fair and square and understands that in order to win, he has to improve. He isn't fueled by revenge, jealousy, or malice. He's fueled by the desire to become a better boxer. Piston Hondo is disciplined, composed, and hard-working, and very little exemplifies those personality traits better than how he takes a loss. Granted, his measures for improving are rather intense. Like, we're talking speed-eating sushi and catching a sword with his bare hands intense here. The craziest part is that the dude even trains his speed so hard that he's even able to match pace with a bullet train. Now that's what I call training. Get it? Because it's a train? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But here's the thing. Even in contender mode, Piston Hondo was already pretty quick. So that begs the question. Just how much quicker can you really become in title defense? Well, let's just take a look, shall we? Yeah, this is the point at which you realize that you are completely cooked. My man's training has seriously paid off. He is very noticeably speedier, trickier, and overall stronger than before. His jabs? Yeah, they're faster. His hooks? Also faster. His uppercuts? You get the picture. It's evident that he's learned from his mistakes as well, and has done his best to patch up some of his weaknesses. Take his bow, for example. In contender mode, this was always a free hit, but now sometimes, Hondo keeps a close eye on you and will dodge and counterattack if you try to hit him. Okay, granted, you can still get a star if you block his counterattack, but it's still cool that he's learned to dodge now. Then there's the matter of patterns. Hondo has realized that if he repeats the same set of moves too often, he'll become predictable, so he now has some new tricks up his sleeve. His uppercuts, for instance, can now come from either side rather than just his right. Then you've got his new fake out uppercut, where he jumps from side to side, confusing you as to which direction he'll be coming from before he unleashes his attack. It's definitely a tricky move to get to grips with. When I first got to this guy's title defense fight, it really threw me for a loop. Initially, he'll only jump from side to side once or twice, but as the fight goes on, he'll do it more and more times to mess with you even further, and when that uppercut does come out, it comes out quickly. His signature Hondo rush has also undergone some improvements. He comes out faster, each jab is stronger, so the damage output here is ridiculous, and it is a very punishing attack to get hit by. It gets faster and faster the further you get into the fight, making the timing even harder to nail, especially for the counter attack. Even if you do manage to successfully land a hit at the right time, you don't even have the guarantee of it being an instant knockdown like in contender mode either. More often than not, you'll only get a star for your efforts. Needless to say, the Hondo rush in title defense is deadly. But the common thread that ties all of Piston Hondo's iterations together is that the simple way to overcome him is with practice and patience. You cannot rely on cheap tricks to beat this guy. Instead, you need to be as dedicated as he is. And eventually, with enough tries, with enough grit and determination, you'll finally learn how to get the best of him. In the midst of the chaos of Punch-Out, Piston Hondo represents order. He's a respectable opponent who takes the sport seriously, but equally makes sure not to take things personally. His disciplined attitude and hard-working nature are evident in the way that he fights and trains, and it's rare and refreshing to see a character like that in Punch-Out. The guy is just insanely cool, and also serves an important in-game purpose of being a skill check for the player. This is where the game stops teaching and starts expecting. And Piston Hondo is the challenge that makes sure you're ready. Here you are, staring down the barrel of Von Kaiser, the German war machine. You've just graduated from felling the Frenchman Glass Joe, but this time you're up against a seasoned boxing veteran, a battle-hardened fighter with a respectable track record and the experience to back it up. On paper, Von Kaiser should be a real challenge. I mean, the guy teaches boxing for a living, so it would make sense for him to teach you a lesson, right? Well, at first it does seem that way, what with his lightning-fast jabs and powerful uppercuts, but here's the catch. That's pretty much all he's got. 2 attacks. Von Kaiser does indeed teach you a lesson, but in a different way than you'd expect. He's a well-disguised tutorial designed to teach players the importance of telegraphing their opponent's attacks and reacting to them accordingly, a fundamental mechanic that lies at the very heart of Punch-Out. All in all, Von Kaiser was a pretty serviceable opponent, and did what he needed to do in the NES installment. Where he really got into his stride, however, was his grand return in Punch-Out for the Wii. Here, I think the best way that he can be summed up is through the introduction that the game gives us of him. The first couple of slides show him polishing his boots and squaring up for battle. Here, he looks strong, intimidating almost, and then the very next second we see him getting beaten up and laughed at by kids. To me, that's sort of reflective of the fight against Von Kaiser as a whole. On the surface, it seems like you're facing your first real opponent, and everything points to it being that way at first. His jabs are a lot quicker than those of Glass Joe, he blocks your attacks, giving him a solid defense, and even throws in his uppercut, which does a lot more damage than you're used to. It's gotta be the first attack in the game that makes you really feel the impact of being hit by it. From this, Von Kaiser seems to be a pretty competent boxer on the surface. However, it's when you start to look deeper that he begins to show his cracks. You see, every time that he goes for a jab, Von Kaiser does a little twitch. This gives you ample opportunity to telegraph his attack and dodge out of the way to leave him completely bewildered. The twitch doesn't just serve as a means of giving you time to dodge, however, oh no. Remember how I said that his guard actually seemed pretty tough? Well, the truth is, it's actually full of holes, and one of the biggest of said holes is this attack. If you throw out a punch while Von Kaiser is twitching before he manages to throw out the jab, you'll earn yourself a star. This teaches you that not only are you rewarded for successfully dodging attacks, but equally for countering them. It's not just the jab you can do this with though, it also works in the wind up to his uppercut, and really, there are star opportunities everywhere with this dude. Like, even when he gets back up after being knocked down, you can get a star for punching him while he steps into the middle of the ring. As the fight goes on, you find more and more of Von Kaiser's weaknesses, and you start to realize that he's really just as much of a pushover as Glass Joe. I mean, just like his original appearance on the NES, the guy still only has 2 attacks. His jab from the left and his uppercut from the right. He is ridiculously predictable and honestly kinda pathetic. What epitomizes this patheticness, however, is the fact that in the middle of the fight, he'll get scared, cover his face and cry out for mummy. You almost feel bad for the guy. I mean, the dude is 42, long past his prime, and is trying his best to cling on to his career despite being traumatized by the kids who beat him up, and probably being reminded of that as Little Mac, a man half his size, pummels him into submission. Oh, but if you punch him while he's crying, you get a star. What? I mean, I said you almost feel bad for him. Not bad enough to stop you from punching him, though. In fact, if you build up 3 stars and hit him with an uppercut just as he says, "Mommy," he'll get instantly knocked out. Not knocked down, knocked out cold. This means that it's actually possible to take out this guy in just 5 punches. That is the lowest number needed to defeat any opponent in this game, even less than Glass Joe. And really, that's the beauty of Von Kaiser. To a newcomer, a tough challenge, but to a veteran, barely even an obstacle. In all honesty, his character is kinda tragic in a way. If you look at his record, he's won 23 fights in the past, which is far higher than the rest of the minor circuit. Back in his heyday, Kaiser was probably a great boxer, likely one of the top contenders in the major or even the world circuit, but now, age has just caught up to him and he's no longer the powerhouse that he once was, relegated to being ranked higher than only Glass Joe. He has such a cool theme too, like this could honestly be final boss music. It's a pity that the fight doesn't really match the energy. Oh well, I guess that's it, right? Well, if we're all done here, I'll be heading off now and— whoa, hold up, not so fast. You see, in Punch-Out Wii, when you beat every opponent and claim the champion's belt, the game doesn't end there. Winning the belt is one thing, but holding onto it is another. Introducing Title Defense, where you have to take on every character all over again. But these guys aren't the same as when you first took them on, oh no. Let's just say that they didn't take too kindly to being beaten by Little Mac, and our Freund Von Kaiser is no exception to the rule. After Kaiser hears the news of Little Mac becoming the world champion, it's like something awakens within him. He remembers the days when he used to dominate the ring and decides that enough is enough. Even if this is the last match of his career, he wants to go out with a bang, so what does he do? He decides to get a haircut? Honestly, fair play to him, because that seems to have given him some newfound confidence and reinstilled that fighting spirit he'd been missing for so long. You can tell immediately that this is not the same Von Kaiser you fought in Contender mode. Gone is the weak, cowering punching bag that once stood where this flat-topped, militaristic giga-chad of a man now stands. Just from the preview, you can already tell that he means business, and when he leaps into the ring for his introduction, he yells out his fierce battle cry, combat boots? That is the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life. And then the fight begins, and this is where the magic truly starts. What you'll immediately notice is that they just decided to make this guy completely wired for no reason, and I am absolutely here for it. I mean, just look at how fast he moves now. His footwork is insane. The increased pace doesn't just translate to his movement though, as his attacks have also seen a significant upgrade in speed. Not only that, but he also has more than 2 moves now, so he's nowhere near as predictable as he used to be. As a matter of fact, his kit has been completely revamped for this rematch. Whilst before, he only jabbed from the left and uppercutted from the right, in Title Defense he mixes things up and attacks from both sides. Not only that, but he has different variants of each attack, with some being more delayed than others, which can throw you off your timing quite a bit. He even has this new jab which comes out super fast and is a stark change of pace from the ones that are normally telegraphed by his twitches. On top of all of this, the man even has the audacity to fake you out and trick you into dodging from punches that he never actually throws. Oh, and remember your precious star punches that Von Kaiser used to be so afraid of? If you use one of these while he's in his idle animation, instead of crying out in fear like he did before, he instead dodges to the side and laughs at you, taunting you for even thinking that the same trick would fool him twice. Speaking of which, his taunt game has also been taken up to the next level. I mean, in between rounds, he proudly proclaims, so, to my understanding, he just called himself German Precision and Little Mac a windmill? I'll be real, I don't think Little Mac's ever recovering from that one. Then Von Kaiser proceeds to further assert his dominance by opting not to warm up before the next round starts, instead choosing to polish his boots. He really has his priorities straight, doesn't he? I think the best part of this fight happens after you manage to knock him down for the first time though. Let me dial things back to contender mode, where when Von Kaiser got up from being knocked down, this weird short animation would play where it'd hit himself and shake off to get his head back in the game. It's sort of out of the blue and a little jarring when you see it for the first time, but you don't think much of it. In title defense, he does something, well, a tiny bit different from before. You know what, I'll just let the video do the talking for this one. You just saw that correctly. They gave Von Kaiser, the second dude in the game, an instant knockdown attack. The absolute mad lads. You might see this and think to yourself that this man is an unbeatable powerhouse. That in itself is why this is probably one of my favourite title defense matches in the game, because unlike Soda Popinski or Mr. Sandman where you'd expect them to be tough, Von Kaiser comes out of nowhere. Nobody wants to lose to this guy, but the odds are it'll happen to you a few times when you first take on this version of him. But even with all the extra sauce they gave him in title defense, he still preserves the very essence of what makes Von Kaiser, well, Von Kaiser. He looks tougher than he actually is. Sure, it's undeniable that he's a massively improved boxer from the first time around. His attacks are stronger, his rhythm is less predictable, and he can tank a lot more hits than before. But behind all the smoke and mirrors lies an opponent who is still highly exploitable for any experienced player. Just like in contender mode, Von Kaiser is an absolute star farm here. It's harder to time, sure, but as with before, you can get a star for interrupting his jab if you get it right. And his fake outs, sure they might just seem like a flashy new trick, but if you correctly call Von Kaiser's bluff and punch him when he tries to fool you, you also get a star. Now, that's great and all, but how do you tell the difference between when he's faking you out and when he's actually attacking? Well, when he's winding up for his real uppercuts, I kid you not, it makes the sound of a shotgun being fired, and with the fake outs, there's no such cue. This means that you can effectively predict Von Kaiser's every move. Even his massive one-hit KO attack has a gigantic window of anticipation for you to easily dodge in the correct direction and counter-attack accordingly. And when all is said and done, you can land that final blow and send Von Kaiser back to boot camp. I think people forget about Von Kaiser a lot of the time, and to me, that's a shame. He was always one of my favourites in the Punch-Out cast, so I wanted to make this video to give him a little bit more spotlight. Sure, he may not be as crazy as Aaron Ryan, as strong as Mr. Sandman, or even as weak as Glass Joe, but I still think he serves his purpose well. While Glass Joe is a mere punching bag, Von Kaiser is more of a tutorial. He's there to teach the player how to dodge, how to counterattack, how to earn stars and use them to their full potential. He's the player's first taste of what the gameplay of Punch-Out is really all about, and that's something that can't be overstated, so you know what, Von Kaiser? I salute you. So you've taken down the weaklings of the minor circuit and climbed your way up through the big leagues. Now, only one man lies between you and the major circuit belt. And that man?
Aha! Ole!
Is Don Flamenco. He's a bullfighter, he's a romantic, he has a rose in his mouth, his shorts are in the colours of the Spanish flag, his name is Don Flamenco for crying out loud. The point I'm trying to make here is that, as is the case with pretty much all of the characters in this game, this dude is basically every stereotype from his country rolled into one, and ayo, hold up, did he just launch a bull into the sky with his uppercut? Yeah, this guy ain't no joke. When you step into the ring with him, however, you'll find that his fighting style almost perfectly replicates that of a bullfighter. You see, Don is very different from any other opponent you've had to face thus far. Most characters in Punch-Out come out of the gate swinging, immediately bombarding you with attack after attack. Flamenco, however, isn't as rash as those guys. He just stands there, goading you on like a toreador to a bull, letting you make the first move. When you inevitably throw out a jab, he dodges out of the way with ease and hits you with his classic uppercut. You need to watch your timing as well. Sometimes he shouts "Toro" and hits you instantly, while other times he'll delay it slightly, saying "Carmen mi amor" in the wind-up. It's implied that the Carmen he's referring to here is his girlfriend at the time, or in other words, the woman that we see him giving a rose to in the intro. Aw, they seem to have such a happy and healthy relationship. Don clearly feels passionate about his love for her too. I hope nothing bad happens between them anytime soon. That aside, what Don is doing here is dodging your punches and counter-attacking when he sees a chance. Wait, hold on. Doesn't that sound familiar to you guys? It's the exact same tactic that you've been using to get this far. He's giving Little Mac a taste of his own medicine. This presents a unique challenge for you to overcome. You need to figure out how to outdance the flamenco. Fall for his taunts and you'll play right into his hands, letting him knock your lights out in style.
Adios.
The way you win this one is by countering Don Flamenco's counter-attacks. Simply dodge his uppercuts, duck his hooks, and then wail in on him like you would with any other character. Huh, guess he's a lot less complex to overcome than he looks. But even when you think you've got him all sussed out, it's not quite over just yet. The Don still has one last trick up his sleeve, his signature Rose Flurry. In the wind-up to this move, he'll perform a series of claps while counting uno, dos, tres, and then unleash a series of 3 consecutive hooks. They are lethal to get hit by, so you need to make sure that you evade all of them. Do this successfully, and Don Flamenco resigns to his fate, forfeiting a star to you, allowing you to hit back at him with your own uppercut. This whole match is a fun back and forth, and it's one of the most satisfying fights in the game for that reason. Part of what makes this the case is that, unlike characters like Soda Popinski, who takes what looks to be some kind of performance-enhancing drugs, or Aaron Ryan, who, let's just say, has his fair share of rule infractions, Don Flamenco is relatively tame. Sure, he does break a few regulations for minor things like spraying himself with perfume and throwing the bottle into the crowd, but none of it is really on the same scale as headbutting the opponent or bringing a weapon into the fight. Coming off the back of a straight-up genie, it feels like a return to a much more grounded style of boxing, right before you move on to the completely unhinged world circuit. He's a relatively respectable character as well, saying things like bien hecho and bien visto when he dodges hooks, which roughly translates to well done and you got me, respectively. A lot of people think he's being sarcastic here, but I don't know, I've always interpreted Don Flamenco as someone who's very competitive, taunting Mac when he's down, but giving credit where it's due when he dodges. Granted, he's a bit of a showboat, but throughout the match he always remains cool, calm and collected. So it turns out that this whole time, our amigo Don Flamenco was concealing his receding hairline underneath the toupee, and if you look closely, you might notice that he is not too happy about his secret being revealed to the world. The once composed Spaniard is now seeing red, and his ordinarily defensive approach gets thrown out of the window. You could say that old Don goes from bullfighter to bull in a china shop with how aggressive his onslaught becomes from this point on. He throws out a brand new uppercut and doesn't let up until he sees your face on the mat. When he's in this state, even if you manage to dodge his barrage of punches, he barely lets you get any hits in, only rarely getting stunned. This is the hardest that the match ever gets. I guess Don Flamenco really rose to the occasion after his toupee got knocked off. Speaking of which, in between rounds, Doc Lewis hits you with this banger of a one-liner.
Toupee or not toupee? That is the question.
Honestly, who needs Shakespeare when you have Doc Lewis, bro? And while we're talking about the round intermissions, can I just ask, what does Doc mean by this quote, and how is it in any way relevant to the fight?
What's your favorite flower, son? Mine's chocolate.
It's just, I don't know man, at this point I've stopped questioning it. Regardless, everything we've seen thus far makes Don Flamenco look like quite the formidable opponent. You'll be fighting tooth and nail with him, and when you do eventually best him for the first time, it'll likely be after a long, difficult war of attrition. You won't win by mindlessly swinging, but instead by beating Flamenco at his own game. However, if you were one of the people who played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on the NES, you'll remember that there was a pretty simple trick to beating this guy with relative ease. face. All you had to do was alternate between your left and right jabs after dodging one of his attacks, and he would be rendered completely helpless, unable to escape from this eternal stun lock. If you try to use the exact same technique in Punch-Out Wii, it doesn't end up working, but this is where you need to get creative. If you experiment a little bit, you'll notice that after Don's stun animation is over, if you delay your timing, then you're actually able to get a couple more hits in. Not very many, but still worth noting, right? However, if you try alternating between a left jab and a right body blow, you'll find that much like in his debut appearance, you found a one-way ticket to victory. You can annihilate Don Flamenco in one of the quickest, most embarrassing defeats in WVBA history. After this, things started to go downhill for the former Major Circuit champion. After all, he hadn't just lost his belt, as along with it, he also lost his pride. Being defeated by Little Mac of all people was shameful, especially for a ladies' man like him. All the female attention he was getting before had now vanished, and the fight was so humiliating that even his amour, Carmen, presumably left him after the fact. But do you know who was starting to get more popular with the ladies? Yeah. And to say Don Flamenco took this personally would be an understatement. For want of a better phrase, the man has a straight up emo phase. Instead of repping his home country with a red and yellow garb, he now sports all black shorts and gloves with eyeliner and a black rose to match. And black roses tend to be symbolic of sorrow and despair, so it's implied that he's probably mourning his now broken relationship with his once beloved Carmen. He seems to blame Little Mac for everything, harboring a strong resentment towards him and training like never before to put him in his place. This definitely shines through in his rematch, as his punches do significantly more damage than they did before. Combine this with a bunch of new attacks to mix things up, and Don Flamenco feels like a force in the ring. He even starts stringing together certain moves, like how after he dodges Toro uppercut, he sometimes mixes in an ole hook immediately after to catch you off guard. He also has this brand new backhand punch, which is an illegal move, but honestly, if I were the ref I'd let it slide, purely because it's one of the coolest looking attacks in the game. Then there's his Rose Flurry. In contender mode, he always did 3 hooks from the right, so it was a relatively predictable move to dodge. However, in title defense, he makes things a lot trickier to play around. The first time he uses it, you'll notice that this time, before he lets loose, he claps to both his right and left sides. And as you might have guessed, the direction that he claps in dictates which way he'll throw out his hooks. But at the end of the day, it's just 3 hooks. It can't be that much harder to dodge than before, right? Wrong. As you get into the later stages of the fight, instead of merely counting to 3, Don Flamenco will rapidly count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right, 5 attacks. This means that you have to pay close attention to his claps, or else you'll risk dodging the wrong way and taking a hook to the face. The damage output is even crazier this time around, and it adds a new element of memorization to the battle. With all these fancy new techniques, it is very easy to lose this rematch, and when you do, Don's Black Rose is restored to its former red coloration. I guess this is a metaphor for all his sorrow and despair being wiped away and his broken relationship being mended. I kinda feel happy for him in all honesty, but all good things must come to an end. You might think that you can end this one quickly by abusing the same infinite combo that you used in contender mode, but if you try this, you'll find that Don Flamenco's wizened up, and your old tricks won't work on him anymore. At least that's how things look at first. Sure, the previous Infinite doesn't work anymore, but what's to say that a brand new one won't? Well, as it turns out, if you do 2 delayed jabs followed by a delayed hook and repeat, you can completely demolish him just like before. It's that simple. Despite this exploit, the fights against Don Flamenco are among the most entertaining in the game, and serve as a fantastic barrier to entry to the world circuit. As a character, he is packed with personality, and no other fighter can quite match his flamboyant style. Now, all that remains for me to say is this: adios, Don Flamenco. Thanks for tuning in, I really appreciate
Yep. So, chat, this is something special for the stream. I'm going to tell you about this in a second. This is Vinesauce Family Fun 61 in 1. Launcher and game curation by Missing Pixel. So this is a collection of games that have been available only on like a multi-cart or some bootleg from like a plug-and-play system. So this is a compilation of a number of bootlegs that we hopefully have never seen before. And also stuff that you would normally find on hardware. So this is not hardware, this is emulated, but at least we can see the stuff. So Super Angry Birds is first. Okay. Angry Birds gets bootlegged a lot. Is that the sound of like a slaughterhouse? That was what the fuck? Just very slowly. Oh. Just, we'll get there eventually. It's kind of Angry Birds without any of the fun. You know, why are you throwing birds at me? You're throwing birds. It may not sound like it, but this is what music is supposed to sound like. We don't need to play that one anymore, right? Bugtris is next. Chat, I've tried to lobotomize the flower, and it doesn't stop. This one is... So, it's Tetris, but it's really discordant. This is horrible anxiety music. Oh, that didn't flip predictably. Chat, I think I've already screwed this up, but the flipping is weird in this. It's not like normal Tetris. I think the music is making me worse at the game, too. Is that possible? Here's every L. Take all of the... This is the L for you. I'm amassing L's while playing Tetris poorly. What a bit of poetry that is. The hell was that? Whoa! Why do bugs come out of the tetri? I want to try that one more time. That was really weird. It was like, okay, I saw a bug in an hourglass. Or, sorry, a magnifying glass. What the fuck? There's a bonus objective, which is to catch the butterflies. Or... Wait. Oh, that's the Bugtris. That is the point. Huh. Well, I can safely say I've never seen that before, so... You know what? Even though the pieces rotate in a weird way, I'm gonna give this bonus points for doing something a little bit different with the formula. But bonus points does not make it fun. block puzzle. Block puzzle. Oh my god. There actually is information in a notepad from the creator of this pack and launcher. I don't know if it's going to be like anything particularly interesting. Hang on. This is a ROM hack of Bugtris without the bugs or pre-placed blocks. But wait, does that just mean it's just shitty Tetris? Cut fruit. Wait, this isn't an NES ROM. Finally, the Fruit Ninja. It's got big, smelly hands. I don't know, man. This is weird. Penis slapping music. Have you ever thought Fruit Ninja was not as fun as it could be? Then this is the game for you. You get to play as a ninja who used to be a football player. I have to lower the volume of this. This is like piercingly loud penis slapping music. Oh my god. Check this out, chat. You can actually slash and lose, like, your place. You can go backwards. Plus. Oh, man. That's funny. Alright, got on.
Got on.
Okay. Got
Get
on.
on the train by order. 3,
All right.
2, 3. Ready, go.
This is no Thomas Adventures in Sunderland or whatever the fuck that game is called.
Not Bob, not
Sounds like a baby Sonic the Hedgehog. There's a little bit of unintentional corruption.
7, 8, 8, 8.
What? There's no fail state, chat. Hang on. So the Fruit Ninja one, the graphics look fantastic for what is essentially a souped-up NES chip. I think this is a VT03 game running in back compatibility on the VT32. I know what none of that means. Produced for the Play... This one is produced for the PlayVision Portable line of handhelds. So, just so you know what's going on here, we got some informations. Yeah, PlayVision Portable. This game sucks? No. I was told I have to play this until the number. Yep, it just keeps going. just keeps going. It's infinite.
Got on. Get
Oh.
on the train by order.
Well, no, it keeps going.
1, 2, 4. 2, 2, 2.
It keeps going until it corrupts itself. Alright, next is Guard Radish. This is also for PlayVision Portable, bundled with My Arcade Pixel Classic. I love these graphics, though. Chat. I don't know how to play this. I'm pressing buttons. Nothing's working. I pressed start and select. Those don't work either. In the notes it says I have no idea how to play this. Oh. Wow. Lose. Put your hamster ate radish. Oh, there you go. Chat, what the fuck is this? Is it a weird tower defense? I love their sound effects when they die. The frog home.
The frog home. Hey kids, school's over. Let's take the little frog home.
Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Produced for the PlayVision Portable.
Level 1.
Wow, the 3D here is...
Level 1.
Wow. No, 7 plus 2. It's 7 plus 2. Oh my god.
Level 2.
3D Space Cadet sound effects. Yeah, there's like a bounce sound effect. It's like... Boing.
Level 2.
Next is a game called Malaria. Created for Play Power, a non-profit foundation that brought educational video games to developing countries. This game was featured on a 3-in-1 multi-cart destined for India. Oh. The multi-cart was intended to be compatible with other Famiclones that Indian households may have had between 2008 and 2012. What the fuck? Okay, wow, you're killing mosquitoes. There's spray. The game is buggy. It's just... what? Cool? That's it. It's over. Alright, so there's a med kit. There's spray. There's a pile of rotting meat, I think. There's a shovel. Are these bug nets? This is so weird. If there's supposed to be educational value, I'm not really understanding what I'm supposed to learn. You have to put the screen at the doors? Alright, done. Alright, let's put some here. Uh-oh, the old ones go away. Nope, I'm not learning anything. I feel stupider. I mean, I'm all for killing mosquitoes, but that didn't make any sense. Trounce. Unknown everything, it says here for the info. 0 information on Trounce. It's legitimately easier to just mash buttons. Love video games. Next is the hacker. Whoa. Is that Neo with a ponytail? Hey, Chum, you might know me from my role in Speed and The Matrix. Well, now I'm chumming it up with the big fellows up at the hacker. Oh my god. This is like the Action 52 version of The Matrix. Is that an Internet Explorer logo? Chat, is that like a fart kick? This is insane. You've played this before and you've had similar reactions too? When did I play this? I have no memory of this. This is a Blues Brother ROM hack? The same plug and play that had lemon on it. Oh. Well, if this is what the Blues Brothers game was like, the gameplay is rancid. I'm really struggling to actually even just stay alive. But no, I mean, this is what... This is what hacking was in 2003, I guess. Whoa, did you see that? Oh, I might need a picture of that, chat. I clicked off too soon. So next is War. Chat, this is Donkey Kong Country NES bootleg music. More Donkey Kong Country bootleg. Is that Earthworm Jim, like, ripped off sprites? Oh my god. In what world was the Donkey Kong Country music the appropriate music for war? some pretty dog shit gameplay here, too. They're just throwing knives. I don't know how to kill that guy up there, so... What do the power-ups even do? That's a really good question, Mega Man. I have no idea. Alright, this one, unfortunately, is gonna be DMCA, but I will check out the music for a second. I'll just have it muted. I'll be able to mute it. Yeah. Okay. So... Wait, why is that guy puking blood? Boom, boom, dollar. Oh my god. That was Jar Jar Binks, wasn't it? Dude, why is Jar Jar Wow. Joel has played this before? Where did he even find it? Spice Dance. This is originally created by Inventor in 2000. 2008 version is created by Nice Code Software. Wait, Butterfly? Like, Be My Butterfly Baby? No. Wait, is that Space Channel 5? What a mix of characters. Oh, man. No, that wasn't. That's oh, it's just DDR. Okay. No, I was asking about the character. Because I know Jar Jar is here. I didn't realize that Jar Jar was a part of the DDR. Alright. That's all I can really show you of that one before it gets claimed. Music Box. Oh, from the same people, because I can tell by the vomiting dude. What is happening? What is happening? Why is Barf Boy here? This is it. This is the whole game. Oh my god, it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Oh my god. It's karaoke. It's just karaoke. Pika, Pikachu. Pika, Pika, Pikachu. April Fool. That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Man, the dancing Pikachu is kind of cool though. I like that. I love their logo. Who is this guy?